Hey, all of you beautiful humans. Are you ready to find happiness? Welcome back to another episode of the Search for Serotonin podcast, the show all about destigmatizing mental illnesses, dismantling society's version of perfection, and helping you define your own meaning of happiness. Join me, your host, Carolyn Farrick, as I have open, honest, and vulnerable conversations about my own mental health and my diagnosis with OCPD, a perfectionism personality disorder. We all deserve to find happiness on our own terms, and we don't need to find happiness alone. So welcome to the Search Committee. Hello, all of you beautiful humans out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Search for Serotonin podcast. I am your host, Carolyn Farrick, and this week I want to start out the episode by just taking a minute for everybody to do a deep breath, because I know I need it, and it never hurts to just take a moment to focus on your breathing. So just breathe in for like 5 seconds and breathe out. Okay, yeah, I needed that. That was good. That was really good. All right, guys. So this week's episode, I actually was not anticipating on recording right now. So if you're watching on YouTube, that is why I look like wild. But I was feeling inspired, and I was sitting out on my porch swing this morning watching, the sun come up and everything, and I just noticed something that I was like, I feel like I want to talk about this. So instead of, waiting and just like writing it down and then trying to think about how I felt later when I have a designated recording time, I was like, why not just go do it now? Like you can rearrange the schedule of your day. You wanted to record at some point. So if it happens in the morning instead of in the evening, it's all going to be okay because it's all going to get done. So yeah, like I said, I was sitting outside on my porch swing, and I was like, I just want to like relax this morning because I woke up really anxious, and I've noticed that I've been having a lot of anxiety lately. So I was like, let me just put my phone down, not scroll on social media, not like check my texts, not check like any notifications, just me, my yogurt, just enjoying the peace of a quiet morning. And I started eating my yogurt, and I just kind of like went into autopilot where I like get lost in my mind and I'm thinking about 1,001 things, and I kind of don't really know what's happening like real time, like physically. So I noticed I was like inhaling my yogurt, like just like not cute, like shoveling it down, just trying to like power through it to like rush to get started on whatever it is I need to do today. And when I noticed this, I was like, why am I doing this? Like, it's a tiny cup of yogurt. Like, you don't have to like, you know, drink it basically. You can just take your time and enjoy it. Like, if it takes you 5 minutes to eat the yogurt, cool. If it takes you 10 minutes to eat the yogurt, cool. But you don't need to like force yourself into like speeding through everything. And so I was thinking about, how this is my anxiety, and how I've noticed that, I've been experiencing more anxiety lately, which for me, it means that, I'm just like internally shaking. Like I get chest pains. I worry. There's so many intrusive thoughts. And so then that just projects into my outward actions, because if you guys have been following the last couple episodes, I went from being pretty depressed and not doing anything to coming out of that and doing a lot really quickly. And so I didn't want to like, get burnt out with all of this again. So I was like, let me really think about this and like assess this situation, because I noticed then it makes me outwardly like trying to do so much and trying to overfill my day, or trying to like plan to do so much, because then if I have more like physical stuff to worry about, then it'll be less time for like my mental worrying to happen. And so I think if like, oh, I can just keep doing projects, never stop, never slow down, then, you know, then I won't have to like think about the anxiety, and it'll make me feel better. But it never makes me feel better. And I do it like all the time. And I talk a lot about like the constant cycle that I feel like I'm always in with my mental health, like the highs and then the lows. And so I was like, I'm feeling good now. It's just like, one day where I'm feeling anxious and like I feel like at least once a week there's one day where I'm like, anxiety is just winning today. Um, but it's a lot better than it was in the past. But yeah, so today is one of those days and I wanted to avoid going back into my similar cycle because, I'll get really good at like slowing down and focusing on me like I have been the past couple weeks. And then, I feel like I finally have a hold on everything and then something will go wrong or like a new trigger will come up that I like forgot about. And so then, that'll derail my whole process of trying to be like, taking my time, enjoying life, searching for my happiness, which is, my main goal. And so I just like start to, speed through the day, like I said. And once I speed through enough days, I speed through enough weeks, I speed through enough months until I just don't even know what happened. So many months just pass by. And that's how I fall back into the depression because then I'm like, I don't know what happened those past couple months. Like, I feel like I don't have control. I feel like a failure, like all of those thoughts that come along with, not living up to your own expectation. I think we should all, give ourselves a little bit more credit and a little more self-compassion. But yeah, so like I said, I wasn't planning on recording this right now. Kind of rambled, but I was feeling inspired in the moment and, me shoveling yogurt down my throat got us here. So shout out to that. Yeah, but I'm definitely feeling a little less anxious. I can still feel it like in my chest, but instead of pushing myself to do work and get started on my day, it was nice to record, get these feelings out, and share this with all of you. Alrighty, guys, that is it for our weekly check in. I will see you when I am back for therapy, think. It's time for Therapy Think, a segment all about destigmatizing mental health through therapy. During this segment, I will give you a sneak peek inside of my weekly therapy sessions and share what I took away from therapy this week. Welcome back to another week of Therapy Think. So this week, I actually was doing the most in therapy, and it was really nice to talk through some of the things that I've been internalizing, some things that I haven't talked to anyone in my life about. I've just kind of, had in my own brain. So to finally have a chance to talk to my therapist, get that all out in the open, have her help me work through all the feelings and patterns and all of that kind of stuff. And then we had like a full circle moment in therapy. So that's what we love to see. We love a good full circle moment. Um, so yeah, it's kind of the same thing that I talked about in the beginning of the episode when, I was trying to eat my yogurt, trying to enjoy the morning, trying to just be outside, but my mind was completely like somewhere else and I was just going into like this autopilot mode. And so I found myself doing that again actually today, right before I had my therapy session for the week. Um, I was really, really fucking anxious this morning. I woke up, I don't know why. I just like had that pain in my chest. It was hard to breathe, and everything felt like it was just a lot. So what's been really helping my anxiety the most lately has been the EFT tapping. So I was like, why not do a couple tapping videos, see how that makes me feel, and maybe I can go about my day. But that didn't really help that much because I was, doing the tapping. And when you do FT tapping, you tap different parts of your body, like, just around and whatnot. And then you say like affirmations or, new beliefs that you want to think. And I follow ones that are like led by someone who knows this stuff. So they help you work through like shame or, relaxing into wealth or like anxiety or stuff like that. I can't remember the other one I watched today, but I did relaxing into your wealth and shame, and I was really struggling with those things. So I was so excited to get to these two videos. And I was doing the tapping, saying the words, like doing it all. and my brain just started going somewhere else. And I was thinking about how I had therapy in like 30 minutes and I was trying to rush through the EFT tapping because I was like, I need to squash this anxiety and go to therapy. And I was like, oh, but if I'm doing therapy, should I like move to a different room than I usually do therapy in? Because what if my therapist thinks I'm like a slob or like I don't like have any other space or I'm just like depressed because I'm sitting in the same area, which is so random. Like, why was I thinking about that? I don't know. And then I was like, but where should I sit? Like, what's going to give me the best background and what's going to look the best for therapy? And then I was like, what am I even going to say during therapy during this time? Like, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about this week. I have no idea what's going to go on. And so my brain is having this war with itself, creating all these problems that I then need to worry about how to fix. Um, but at the same time, I'm simultaneously tapping and saying these words. So it was like my body and my brain were completely detached from themselves. And that's how I felt when I was eating the yogurt. You know, my body was doing something good for me and calming and relaxing, but my brain was like a million miles away. And so, I told her, I was like, I'm becoming more aware of this. Like when this is happening, like I'm noticing, I'm taking like note of it, but I don't know how to, like, break that habit. And so my therapist, told me about if you, like, worry too much about yourself or you are too much inside your head, then that's just you keeping yourself prisoner. And so, she was going through this and saying these things, like prisoner, self-sabotage, holding yourself back, all of those kind of concepts. And I was thinking about it and I was like, that's me. Like that's how I feel. Like I feel like I, you know, put myself in this like place every time like my brain goes into a bad space and my thoughts like are trying to take over. And the more she talked, the more, I thought about this and the more I thought about, my situation when I self-sabotage. Um, what I do is I like to, drag someone else down with me. So, whoever's closest to me at the time, if I'm going through something and I get angry at myself for, not sticking up for myself or not speaking up or not taking care of myself, I get angry, but instead of getting angry and taking like accountability for myself, I like to push the blame on someone else. And so this concept of like dragging someone down with me, um, I feel like I can tend to do that a lot. I tend to, when I get into these moods and I don't know what to do and I get into this cycle of like not identifying my emotions as they come up. Instead, I suppress them until it gets to the point where I'm like, I'm angry and I want to blame somebody else, And so my therapist was drawing out like a little circle diagram. And she's like, okay, so you got angry over, something. And like what led up to that anger? What was happening in your day before that? So we mapped out like the one day, I had a bad day, I got angry, um, over something that, like, I didn't need to be angry about, and she said, "There's something that happens, and then you let that kind of get you down, and then something else gets you down, and then you keep getting yourself down and getting in your own head and telling yourself of reasons why things are so terrible, and then you get to the point where it turns into, like, anger." And so she was like, "Where can you see yourself, like, blocking off that anger from happening?" And so, I said, like, "Honestly, it's, like, me, like, I could have just taken 2 seconds to myself and stepped back and said, like, 'Hey, like, just breathe for a second, chill out, everything's okay, everything's fine. Like this is not the problem that you're like it's not as big of a problem that your brain is making it out to be. Um and so yeah, I was like it's honestly I could have stopped it at any point. I could have stopped it first thing in the morning. I could have stopped it at any point in the day, but I like didn't because I feel the need to just like go 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 because when I get into these situations, my anxiety heightens. And so I'm like, "Oh, got to put your head down, got to go. You're not going to like have enough time to get things done." And so she kind of brought it back to the yogurt experience, and then this morning, how my brain was completely detached. And, she said that, instead of trying to go, 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 I need to recognize that I need to slow down. like with the yogurt, if it takes me 5 minutes to eat a yogurt versus 10 minutes to eat a yogurt, it shouldn't be like the thing that ruins my day. I shouldn't feel like I have to rush through yogurt because I'm like, oh, things aren't going to get done, or I need to worry about this. I don't have time to worry about like eating or things like that. And then with the tapping today, I could have slowed down and like paused the video and been like, I'm not focused. So let me just like recenter myself and get focused. And so it always comes back to me not being able to be fully present, because even when I'm like in a situation that makes me calm or, makes me feel good, I can still just be completely detached like that. And so she just gave me the advice. You have to recognize when these are coming up in you, and you have to be the one to say, I can just take a step back right now for 1 second and breathe. And the line that really stood out to me this week that she did say in her words of wisdom that she always gives me at like basically the end of every episode, she said, don't wait to take the breath. And so that really stood out to me, like, don't wait to take the breath. Don't let it build up. Don't let it get to the point where you're so angry that you don't even know why and you're picking reasons to be angry over nothing. Like, just take the breath. Take the breath whenever the feelings come up. Take the breath when you feel like, this is not how I want to be presenting myself right now, or this is not how, um, or this is not like an accurate representation of why I'm upset or why I'm going through this. So I thought that was really good advice, but every week I think Tina's advice is really great. Um, just in the theme of noticing and becoming more mindful of the actions that I'm like going through in my day-to-day life that I'm not super a fan of. It's been nice to kind of, slow down, recognize those moments, take notes about those moments. What am I feeling? What am I experiencing? What brought on these emotions? Why do I feel like I need to worry about this? Is it like, am I creating this to be a problem in my head, or like a task that I need to complete, or something I need to just now worry about? Or, you know, is it something that can be dealt with later? And it's something that like will all work out in the end, that I don't need to spend, every waking moment when my brain is silent to worry about stuff. And so it's just literally just grounding myself, reconnecting with myself, and just remembering, don't wait to take the breath. Now it's time for Mental Media, a segment that aims to dismantle society's version of perfection by discussing trending news stories and how they pertain to mental health. If it's trending, then we're chatting about it. All right, let's get into mental media. But before we do, I just like to reiterate that I am not a licensed mental health professional. I am just somebody who struggles with anxiety, depression, OCPD, intrusive thoughts, people pleasing, all that kind of jazz. So, I in this segment, I am not giving any type of professional advice. I'm not giving any type of recommendations. I'm just sharing my own opinion of a real time situation that is currently happening in the media. But this week for mental media, I thought this topic would be literally the perfect thing to address. I stumbled upon this information absolutely completely like by accident. So, as some of you may know, if you are avid TikTok watchers, and I'm not an avid TikTok watcher, like I've cut my time on TikTok down so much. I've turned off like notifications and everything too. So the past couple weeks I've been on it a ton, but this week I started to go on it a little bit more just because I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's a thing. Why not check it out, see what's going on," since I've been on the app as much lately. So I was scrolling, and on my For You page came a video from Gabby Hanna. So if you aren't familiar with Gabby Hanna, she was a YouTuber, and she was also on Vine back in the early 2000s, um, or like 2000 teens, like 2012, 2013, 2014, that kind of era. But yeah, so I knew of her because watching people's videos in the YouTube space, they would reference other YouTubers, and she just happened to be one of them. And so I don't follow her or anything. I don't keep up with her shit. Um, but I came across this video and it was really weird. Like, it didn't make sense what she was talking about. At one point she started like crying, bawling her eyes out. I was like, what is this about? And I didn't really think too much about it, and I just kind of scrolled away. And then, the next day, 2 days later, I was on Twitter and, like, people were, like, talking about her, tweets kept coming up about Gabby Hanna. And so I was like, "Okay, let me look more into this," because, like, people were kind of mentioning, like, this might be a mental health thing. And so I started to look more into it, and I started to find, some articles about it, which one happens to be an NBC article, which I will be referencing a lot through the explanation of this scenario. And I will link it in the show notes so you guys can review it as well. But apparently, Gabby has bipolar disorder, and apparently, she was experiencing like a manic episode, psychosis. And in this period of psychosis, um, she was having a lot of, comments about mental health and comments about like society and comments about religion and stuff like that. And in the past, like, 3 or 4 days, because this is very, very recent, like, this is actively still happening real time. In the past 4 days, the NBC article says she's posted at least 200 plus videos, just basically, like, lively documenting and just uploading her psychosis thoughts and what she's going through. And I have watched a couple of the videos. I have not watched all 200. I have not been keeping up with it that much, but I will say that the videos are kind of difficult to watch, and they were hard to watch because, you're sitting there as a viewer trying to understand what's happening, and you're trying to, like, make sense of, well, why are they saying these things? Or why is this happening? Or, all this stuff, and, like, how my brain was like, "Oh, it's a PR stunt. It's like a marketing ploy." Like, our brain's gonna try and, like, think of every excuse it can instead of just being like, "Hey, this is a mental health issue." And, like, people, were commenting and saying like, she said some pretty racist and homophobic things in these videos. She needs to be held accountable. So there was like an anger piece of people on the internet. And then other people were coming back and saying, yes, hold her accountable, but not right now when she's actively going through psychosis. Because, people who go through psychosis, they like aren't as aware when they're going through these episodes. So when they are able to come down and become aware of their actions and what they said and did during that time period, that they feel a lot of like guilt and shame and anxiety surrounding that. And so like people were saying, we've seen this happen with YouTubers before, and because of the hate that they get or people trying to like cancel them during, when they come out of this, um they have so much guilt because they weren't, like, fully in control of, their actions and what they're saying, and then they have so much shame and they blame themselves so much, and they're like, "Oh, this is, like, I'm a bad person," and then they've committed suicide, and so people are like, "We've seen this happen with YouTubers in the past," like, yes, hold her accountable or yes, whatever, but don't do it until she's, like, stable because, like, you don't want that to happen again because you can't be like, "Oh, we care about these people's mental health," and then, force them to want to commit suicide because the internet is so vicious and ruthless. And a lot of people in the comments on Twitter, they were saying, "It's been, like, a day, it's been 2 days of this stuff." Like, she was filming with this random guy and was claiming that he broke into her apartment, and then some other sources were saying, like, "Oh, like, she let this, like, stranger in to just record with her." But, she's in the videos being like, "Yeah, this stranger just broke in, like, ha ha, everything's fine, like, so random, they took, like, a shot together." Um, and so that was kind of interesting to me. And then, you had people who were online, watching this real time and watching her break down and then, go through another video where she's explaining like, God and claiming she's a deity and like having all of these religion, like, I don't know, like kind of like moments where she was like moments of clarity where she's like, "Oh, this is like a aha moment. Everyone else needs to realize this as well." Um, and so people were actively watching this stuff and, she's posting like a video every 10 minutes because the past couple days, like I said, she's pushed out like 200. And a lot of people were saying, why isn't someone stepping in? Like, where's her team? Where's her family? Where's her friends? Where is TikTok? Why isn't TikTok doing anything? And so people were like saying she needs help. She needs to get help. Why is no one helping her? And actually, people on Twitter and people on TikTok started taking matters into their own hands, and they were calling the police in her area and, telling them she needs a wellness check. You need to go check on her. No one's doing anything. And so let's get into this article from NBC. That was just my personal recap on like from what I've seen and what I've experienced. So, but now to go more off of a news article, NBC actually really laid it out because before reading NBC, I kind of felt the same way of like Twitter and TikTok. I'm like, yeah, why isn't anyone helping her? Why isn't anybody stepping in? Why is she still like posting when like someone could just go over and be like, hey, like put the phone down, let's just talk, like let me be here for you. But after reading this NBC article and the way they described it and laid it out, it kind of, made sense and they made some good points. So they start out by saying, she uploaded like 200 plus videos, and she had some long, uncharacteristic monologues about religion and claims herself as a deity. So, she does talk about religion and mental health in her normal content, but the way that she was discussing in these most recent videos was not, it was like out of the ordinary. Her fans, her followers could tell. And so this article was written on August 26th, which was a Friday. And so that her posting, according to this article, says it started Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of days of her posting. So it says, she has a super large following. She's posted these erratic videos to TikTok. That's their words. I'm not using, these are not my own words. These are the NBC News articles words. Um, and she has made several comments that her fans and followers are calling racist and transphobic. Um, and then they talk about, she's uploaded videos of her letting someone who appeared to be a stranger enter her home, and he eventually left after posting from inside her house. And oh, I guess I didn't know this. I didn't see this the first time I read the article, but it appears that she has allowed other seemingly unknown people into her home and documented it all on the platform. Like I said, real time. Um, a lot of people have described the videos as alarming. A lot of discussion has sparked regarding responsibilities of the viewer and the social media platform. And so a lot of people urged, people to go and intervene. People tagged Twitter support. They're like, are you going to stop this? Are you going to continue to let her post? Other people were saying, call the police, get a wellness check. Other people were like calling out her management team, all that kind of stuff, like I mentioned. But she continued to post and, she continued to trend on Twitter. Her TikTok's videos kept getting pushed to the For You page and getting millions of views. And so people were like, how is, when is this going to stop? Like, when is someone going to step in? It's been like days now, this is like kind of concerning because, watching someone's live mental health breakdown can be scary. It can be unfamiliar for a lot of people, and it can make people very uncomfortable because they don't know how to deal with that because maybe they haven't experienced it themselves or they just don't know how to process that information. So, followers were disappointed in the fact that TikTok never commented, never stepped in, never really did anything. Um, so, they were like, we're going to take it into our own hands. And that's when, the police arrived for a wellness check and they actually ended up, cuffing her and detaining her. And so a lot of people were kind of like, well, that's not the right response either. You don't want to call the cops. But the fans were like, no, this is what we should be doing. And so there's a quote here by a board certified psychiatrist who makes educational content about mental health on TikTok, Judith Joseph. She said, people reaching out virtually and trying to support her, Hannah, that's a more appropriate response rather than, calling the police, especially if you're a fan and not a physician. So, she's basically saying people on TikTok aren't registered physicians. They don't know how to handle these situations. And, calling the cops isn't always the best answer. Judith was like, if you're a fan in this situation, maybe just try and comment saying, hope, you're doing well, or we're here for you. Like, those kinds of things, not something that'll set them off further, but just giving them that support of like, you know, it's okay, it's gonna be okay kind of deal. And then, letting someone who is a trained professional handle that. Because Joseph goes on to say, it's inappropriate because it sends the message that people with mental illness need to be told what to do and that they can't make their own decisions and they need to be quote unquote rescued. And a lot of times that's not the case. And so I know personally, I've never gone through like psychosis or a bipolar episode, but when I'm in like deep depression, if people are trying to like be like, well, you need to do this or just do this, or, that kind of stuff, like, tell me what to do, that, like, drives me insane because it's like, I'm not asking to be told what to do, I'm asking to be heard. And, I really, like I really understand where Judith Joseph is coming from. She is a trained professional. And so, her saying these things really opened my eyes to the situation because, yeah, the internet sometimes is so quick to be like, well, we need to step in. So another licensed professional um, also said police aren't like equipped to respond to mental health crises, and calling the police may actually endanger the person in crisis. And then they go on to provide a fact that more than 1 in 5 people fatally shot by police had mental illnesses, according to a Washington Post database of US fatal shootings by on duty police officers. Gabby also was posting, about her situation of being detained and being cuffed. And people were kind of interested to see what would happen after the police arrested her. Would she be admitted? Was she going to a psych ward? What kind of help was she getting? And the officers came back and said, she did not meet the requirements to be placed in involuntary psychiatric hold. And that kind of is all that the NBC News article talks about. I think the main takeaways for me from this news story is, take everything you see on social media with a grain of salt. Um, if you see somebody struggling online, maybe offer support rather than deciding, I know what's best for them and I'm going to take action. Maybe just, reach out and say, hey, like, is everything okay? Supporting you always, or something like that. Like, even as simple as that, Um, and also the fact that we as people are not mental health professionals. Even I, who struggle with mental health every single day in my life, I still get terrified when people are, having mental health crises, because I don't want to say or do the wrong thing because I know like how, sensitive it can be in that time because, when you're going through it, sometimes things don't make you feel better, or things aren't, if they aren't said the right way, will set you off even further. And so listening to trained professionals and, including trained professionals in this process to get people help, let the professionals give the advice, not you just because you have access to Google. I'm interested to see how this article continues to play out, if she is going to continue posting in the same way, if she's ever going to make a statement about, what was happening during that time, if she's gonna delete all the videos, I don't know. And I mean, no one knows but her, but I also just hope that she is okay and safe and getting the help that she needs. And if you or anyone who is struggling out there with a mental health crisis and you need additional help, maybe, the people in your life don't know what to do. If you're a support person and you don't know how to handle it, always, always, always direct the people who are struggling, or if you're struggling yourself, find the resources in your area that are local that you can call, you can access. Find mental health resources, a hotline number, a chat service. Dial 988. That's the easiest thing to remember. Also, if you guys go to my link in my Instagram bio at the search for serotonin, I do have mental health resources, all national mental health resources listed. So if you or someone in your life is struggling, please get them the professional help that they need. You can't do it alone. You cannot do it alone. So instead of trusting people on the internet, trust the people who are trained to help in these situations. All right, let's get into serotonin script, you guys. Our final segment of the week is Serotonin Script. This segment is all about filling your weekly prescription of serotonin. I will share what sparked serotonin in my life this week to hopefully inspire you to find your own version of happiness. If you want to share how you searched for your weekly dose of serotonin, then DM at the search for serotonin on Instagram to be featured on next week's segment of Serotonin Script. My source of serotonin this week was my niece, Charlotte. So, as you guys have heard throughout the theme of this episode, this week was a lot of me realizing that, I'm still very much so in my old ways of rushing through things and letting my anxiety and perfectionism, take a hold of me. And so, in the theme of trying to get out of that pattern, I really just tried to listen to my body and my brain this week, and try and be more present in the moment. And so I decided to plan a little girls' day with my niece, Charlotte. It was very impromptu. I texted my sister probably at like 10 or 11 that morning, and I was like, hey, Charlotte's available at 2. I'd love to go take her out for a girls' day. No plans, no expectations. I was just going to pick her up and ask her what she wanted to do. And that would be fun for me also because I love spending time with Charlotte. She is 4 years old, but she is so smart, so advanced, so in tune with her emotions. She always says, I know myself, I know what I feel. And if she doesn't like something or something you says upsets her or makes her feel a certain type of way, she's not holding back. She's going to let you know. And I really admire her for that, having that sense of nobody's gonna mess with me and kind of nobody's gonna push me around, even though I'm 4 years old, and to have that mindset and that ability of like, you know, self-awareness almost, I guess, at 4 is so bewildering to me, and I just love hanging out with her and seeing, every day she gets smarter, every day she gets, more aware. She knows sign language, she watches, like, videos that, teach her other languages as well, um, and she's just so much fun to be around because you never know what she's gonna say. She always says what's on her mind, and she's always a good giggle. And so I went and picked her up, and she was so excited because I said, "Where do you wanna go? What do you wanna do?" I'm like, "We can go to the park, we can go to Target, we can go to the mall and go to the play place." I was like, "If you wanna go get, like, a cake pop from Starbucks, or if you wanna go get, like, a Happy Meal from McDonald's, whatever you wanna do." And this girl loves Target, so she said, "Let's go to Target, Lenny, let's go." And she was like, "I wanna get a new toy, I can't wait, I love getting new toys at Target." So I said, "Okay, we can go to Target." And so we get there, and put her in the cart, and we look through, like, the dollar section, and immediately she sees, like, all this stuff that she wants. And me and her were in Target for literally like over an hour. We just wandered around. We're looking at stuff. We're trying on headbands, trying on like different like accessories, going through the makeup, smelling all this stuff, and just like laughing the whole time. So yeah, my little girl's day with my beautiful niece Charlotte was absolutely the highlight of my week. It was such a great time and a great way to just de-stress, be in the moment, and really reconnect with who I am as a person. So, all right, you guys. Well, that is it for Serotonin Script for this week. And if you guys aren't already, go ahead and rate and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Let me know your feedback. Let me know which segments you're liking, which ones you aren't. If you want to have me discuss any certain topics, you can DM me on the Instagram at the search for serotonin, or leave a review to let me know, what you would like to see next. And also, if you haven't already, go check out the Instagram for the podcast, and the link in the bio does have the um my free resource for a free serotonin boost checklist. So if you're struggling to find ways to boost serotonin in your own life, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever, I've put together my top 10 favorite ways to boost serotonin in my own life. They're all things that I have used personally to help me in my journey. And they're all things that you can access pretty easily, and do, even if you don't have that much time in your day, there's some quick little things that you can do to help boost serotonin in your daily schedule. All right, go download your free copy of that. Go rate and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And I will see you all back here next week for another recap of how I continue to search for serotonin. All right, serotonin searchers, have a wonderful, wonderful Monday. And always remember to live loud.